yeah, obviously there has been an announcement in the market from one of the reinsurers. That was a very public announcement in terms of it being a press release and got a lot of attention as a result. I'm glad it did in terms of bringing this point to the table. But I think many others have a similar position, not necessarily to the same extent perhaps, but this issue of sustainability across TPD, both across the retail and the group space, is something that a number of the reinsurers and indeed a number of the direct insurers in the market have been agitating for some time. I think this announcement maybe served as a good catalyst to kind of ensure that we maintain the momentum that has started to build in the market. But I wouldn't necessarily say their views are outliers. Their actions might be stronger or more extreme than others in the market, but certainly they are one voice among many. And maybe if I could just touch back on the point Eugene made earlier around, I guess, the industry working through this together without necessarily change being mandated by the regulator. I think when we kind of talk about the industry, like who are we talking about? Because I think everybody around this table are part of that ecosystem of stakeholders in the industry. And to get the change that I do believe is required, I don't think it's just going to happen through the competitive market, so to speak. I think there's a piece around getting a common understanding across the product manufacturers, the reinsurers, the advisors, other interested stakeholders. I feel like that absolutely is necessary, and I think we're also in a better position perhaps now than we were at the time of the APRA intervention for IP, because we do have a dedicated industry body in the Council of Australian Life Insurers now, and I think certainly there's a great opportunity to ensure that we work together with CALI, but with all stakeholders, not just, I suppose, the if we call them the direct insurers in the market. So I think the situation we find ourselves in now, if we can keep that momentum going, regardless of the lack of an APRA mandate, I think we're in a strong position given the current structure in the market with CALI being that industry body that's focused purely on the insurance space.
I agree, David, and I want to say, like Tim mentioned before, that we've got some product innovation already happening. That's true. We're on the right path. We've seen also some direct insurers. We've seen reductions in the maximum level of TPD cover, reductions in caps. So I think things are, on the right trajectory.
Okay, just to close that out, if I could, in terms of having all stakeholders in the room, including the role of financial advisors, is with these products that we've seen come to market, and Tim and Joanna have experience of this in terms of a recent new TPD product. But how do we actually ensure that we can correctly market and sell these products so that they actually get to scale and can be sustainable in their own right? And I think that's really something we need to work together on, because there is a need, as you said, for different strands or colours of a certain product, be it some that are much more stringent in their definitions versus something that provides much more covers a broader range of things. But how do we ensure that the newer, less well-known products that perhaps are more affordable, are more sustainable in the longer term, how can we market those properly so that they do actually get traction and start to change the kind of nature of the...
Okay, so I'm dying to ask you a question out of all of that, and it's a curly question, so my apologies, and anyone can feel free to weigh in on this. How does the industry collaborate to develop this consistency of offer without contravening any trade laws?
Lots of lawyers.
I'm just going, it's a competitive marketplace. All policies have set their own wording. I mean, you asked me a question, I didn't give you an answer. I'll try and give you an answer. The market will sort itself out because it's a competitive marketplace. And it is sorting itself out. It's not doing it in the best possible way because it's jacking up premiums to quite high levels, right? But that's the way the market's currently sorting it out. And so maybe it's right that the regulator steps in and say, well, that's not what we want, and does something else. But competing doesn't mean you can't collaborate. I get that there's anti-competitor rules and all that kind of stuff, but again, I go back, there's enough insurers so that they'll figure it out, and I don't think any insurers are anywhere near collapsing. And reinsurers, and I mean, I've seen a lot of this in the PI market for financial planning. Insurers come in and out of the market all the time. Like one reinsurer pulling out, I don't know if that's...
Pausing.
Well, pausing, right? They come in and out of different markets all the time, particularly globally. So I don't know that that's cause for panic.
Sure.
And maybe there doesn't... David mentioned the role that Cali will play in this, and there is a sustainability task force, which is, again, pushing us in the right direction. I don't think there needs to be collaboration in the sense of we should all be able to innovate. We can test new products in our market. We are doing that, and we hope to see more, as I mentioned before. I think the issue that we have is the role of the existing TPD insurance and how we, whether it's by reduction in cover, whether it is by more stringent terms that are put on new versions of those TPD contracts, but it's how we, with the help of advisors, show that true value of what these new innovative products are and how they play a role in the protection and meeting customer needs. But
so let's keep going with that conversation. Let's explore that a bit more. We're talking about innovative products. We're talking about revised products, and perhaps Matt, if I can start off with you and refer you to a headline that we wrote that was very widely read earlier this year: benefit levels undermining TPD sustainability. It was a paper released by January that argued that the insured benefit, particularly for older policyholders, was just reaching the windfall level and really wasn't reflective of the insured need as you get older. Anything you'd like to share on that?
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, it's the product construct that leads to that differentiation emerging over time. And so it's the product construct that needs to change in order for that to be resolved. I know that some advisors will monitor cover levels, but it largely doesn't happen. Is the reality? It's unusual. And without going into specifics, I've seen some quite eye-opening examples of payouts to people at a certain point in life where the need was just not there. So I do think we need to think about the product construct. I don't necessarily have the answers. I think some sort of reducing some insured is probably got to be part of it over time. But I come back to the point that Kristen made earlier, which is how do advisors get comfortable to sell these policies?
Let's ask you, Kristen, would you feel comfortable with your clients having a reducing benefit TPD contract with age?
It's a difficult one because when I look at clients that are in their later stage of life that might not have any retail insurance but have solely relied on what's sitting in their super fund, it typically doesn't ever meet anywhere close to the need that they need, the amount that they need, sorry. So perhaps there could be a space for it, but it's how you do it and how much and how those benefits are calculated. It's difficult, and it's kind of why we're in this situation, to have a one-size-fits-all because it doesn't necessarily fit all. To be frank, I don't know. What I've seen from how it currently works in group, it doesn't meet the need at all. It's quite stark. Perhaps with into the discussions with stakeholders, it could get somewhere that might be a bit more meaningful, but from what I've seen, it doesn't really match.
Okay, so it's true that the group is a more blunt instrument than individual personal insurance, although there are many that argue there should be more tailoring possible with individual advised personal insurance offers, and I'm sure Zurich colleagues would have something to say about that as well. But would you like, but before perhaps I turn to Zurich colleagues, is that something that you'd like to see, a more tailored, more specific, whether it's gender or age or occupation or whatever it is, a more tailored offer for the consumer?
There certainly is opportunity, and this is part of what I spoke about at the Bumbora conference in terms of my focus was specifically on women because their typical working life doesn't match. It's not linear. There's people, they come in, they come out, and there's everything else that comes in with that, and products don't have the flexibility to match it. I don't necessarily have the solutions for that, but I certainly know that it exists given the conversations I have with my clients.
Yeah.
So there's certainly opportunities for that, for innovation in respect to that specific group, and there would be other groups that would be the same. If I may, sorry, to go back to some things we have spoken about already in terms of working together and collaborating, and this isn't necessarily my authentic idea, but I know it has been said around going to the ACCC and getting the ability to actually collaborate. I think the message from the reinsurer is a very big headline and would help with that proposition to the ACCC. Yes, the market is doing things to work it out. Is it being done effectively? There's different iterations of products. They're spending time, money, trying to innovate, and it's really good to see people do that, insurers do that. There's always the first mover disadvantage as a result. So if you have the ability to collaborate legally, perhaps it removes that first mover disadvantage to an extent.
Obviously, within the bounds of competition law, we can't be working on any kind of product design, and nor would we ever do that. But what we can do and what we are doing is working, as I said, on that claims assessment framework, as well as thinking about, and I know some of the insurers around the roundtable spoke to this, around what are the right principles that we should be having as an industry and as insurers in how we approach providing this level of cover for people, particularly around indemnification. So we are working at pace as an industry to develop both the principles and the claims assessment framework that could help with this. And our view is that is something that we can collectively work on in a safe manner.